Hi, Jamie here today at Teachers Tech. Today I want to show you how to use Microsoft Power Apps. This is a beginner's tutorial, so I'm going to start right at the beginning and go through it step by step. If you've never heard of Microsoft Power Apps, this is a great way to build apps for your organization, and it is super easy to use. If you're new to the concept of Microsoft Power Apps, it's like having a magic tool that will help you build your own custom apps without having to be a tech wizard. Imagine it this way. You have a box of Lego blocks, but for building apps that can do all sort of tasks for you, like organizing data, automating routine tasks, or even managing events. In short, Microsoft Power Apps is like having an app factory that's easy to use, it will help you at work, and you don't need a computer science degree to start using it. The apps that we create with Microsoft Power Apps are either going to be for the web or mobile. After we go through and create ours today, I'll show you how to share that out in those different ways as well. But let's get started with how do we access Microsoft Power Apps? So here's a quick way, and I'll put this link down below in the description. You can start from this page, and you can start for free. But where I would tend to start, because I already have a Microsoft 365 account, is if I go ahead and get just logged in to my office.com or my Microsoft 365, and I'll put a link to this below also, I can go ahead and get this app. I'm going to go to the app launcher right up here. And if you don't see it here, and mine is here because I've opened it before, you can go to Explore All Apps. And I'm just going to go over to here and click All Apps. So this is the list of all my Microsoft 365 apps I have available for me. As I scroll down, here is Power Apps. They're in alphabetical order as you go across and down. So I'm going to just click on Power Apps here. And when this opens up, we're at the spot where we can start creating our first app in Microsoft Power Apps. Let's take a quick look at the layout of Microsoft Power Apps. If we go over to the left, we have the navigation panel here. And if you're familiar with Microsoft Power Automate, you'll recognize the same kind of layout that it has for all these, and it even has the flows. I'll put a link to my video about how to use Microsoft Power Automate down below in the description and above in the card. But I want to point out, so we're under the home page right now, and I'm going to be starting with data right here. We have 3 different options to start, but I can go to create here, and I can select from this option too. We have the learn. There's lots of good tutorials that you can pick from, and they'll walk you through with exercises on it. And once we create our apps, this is where you're going to find them. Now, over here, when I upload the Excel spreadsheet that I will in a moment, it's going to create a table, and our tables are going to be stored right here. I'm going to go back to the home, and I'm going to click Start with Data. These other 2 I'll talk about at the end of the video. So if I click Start with Data, and we can do a few different things. I'm going to upload an Excel file here, but we can start with a blank. Now, notice it says switch and create. So I'm going to have to switch environments to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. And now what you're going to see is that I have this available. And I'm going to come back to the environment, what I just switched to in a moment. I'm going to hit back down here. And you can see I can also use an existing table. So if I click on it, right through here, these are some of the ones that are already in with Power Apps. I could select some of those tables, or I could select to external data. So I could go from like a SharePoint list on a page, and that works great for this. You could go from an Excel file in OneDrive, or you could go from SQL. I'm not doing it in this tutorial, but I'm going to hit back. So this is the Excel file that I'm going to upload. So let's say in this organization, I always find that we're sharing our favorite picks from movies or maybe streaming services, and I like what other people are saying. So we started this Excel file here. You can see with the employee names and the titles and streaming service and so on. But I want to find an easier way to do this. So we're going to make an app so people can just open their phone, or they can go on their computer and simply enter in, maybe they've watched something good, and it shares it with all of us. They can enter from the app or even search what is there. So you notice there's no table or anything. This is just data with some columns in a Microsoft Excel sheet here. Let's upload our Excel file. I'm just clicking on it. And at this point, I could drag the Excel file right into here or select from device. I'm going to go get the file. Mine is called employee favorites and hit open. It uploads that Excel file and creates a table from that. So this is going to be in the Dataverse, uploaded to it. I believe it's a 5 meg max on the size of the file for these. Now you can see the different column headers here that were created, and then the information that was in the file. I can actually clear out the information. I can show you how to do that in a bit in case you wanted to start from scratch. First of all, I don't want this to just be called table. I want this to be called staff picks. So I'm just going to go and give this a different name just so it's easier to identify later. I'm not going to change any of these options here. This is just a beginner's tutorial, so we'll keep things pretty basic. Notice over here, it took the first column as headers here. It's turned off. I can turn this off. It was selected on, and I'm going to leave it like that. So what I want to point out on each of these columns now, if I drop down, if I wanted to edit a column, you can see how it shows what the format. So this is format text, and that's fine. That's what I want. And this would be format text as well. The reason why I put some data in here is because it recognized what was already in there. So in the case of if I move over here, if I drop down, it recognized that this was a number part right here, and this was a phone number or an email. So what it does, if I go and edit the column, notice that the format is already an email. So that makes it so if the person clicked on it, it would go ahead and open up the email so you could email a person. And same thing if I go here. The format this time went text. I could change this to phone number and update it, and then I can make sure all my columns are the way I want. Now, once you get those all set up, you can just go below here and hit create the app, and it's going to go ahead and start creating it for you. Here's our app. It took that Excel file, uploaded it to the Dataverse, and now we have this canvas of this app that it put together. I can see they have a search, they have a place where we can add new records in it, and we can go through and view what people have. But let's go ahead and run this to begin with. If I go here, preview the app, or F5, it will show me on different devices. So right now, I was on my phone before, but depending on what you pick, you can see on browser. So if I was going to go to canvas size, here's this. If I go and change it back to the phone, I can pick a specific phone you can see from the different ones here. So if I go and pick the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and I can go through and see how everything's working in here. So if I was going to go and click new, it even has that already where I could be entering in this information on it. So you can go and play with it right away to see maybe even on a tablet what it would look like and how things would be working already. I'm just going to exit out of here because some of these things might not be exactly the way I want it to look, and I want to make some changes to it. Before we make any changes, I'm just going to go ahead and hit save up here. You can see the shortcut, Control S. And after it's saved, I'm just going to go, and you can see that it's saving as it turns right there. And now that it's saved, I'm just going to hit back here, and I'm going to hit leave. Because if you do have to access your app again, I want to show you where it is. For quick access to go back into it, I can click it right here for staff picks, or I can go to the apps list and select it right here, and it will open it back up. I just want to point out with the tables, once I uploaded that, and if I scroll down, this was created right here. So this staff picks table is created from uploading that file. Now, I just wanted to show you one more thing. So notice it says up here, this is a developer environment and not meant for production. So I'm using the Dataverse right now. When I uploaded the way I did, I had to switch environments. Up top right here, I'm just going to click on this and notice that I'm build apps in the Dataverse. Now, I don't have a subscription for this part, but I can still show you how to do everything. You can practice building in here. You could do it a different way with connecting with your business account or your 365 through an external like OneDrive or SharePoint. But in this tutorial, I am using the Dataverse, and it is a developer environment. But all the things you can still work on just the same. So I just want to make sure that you understood. You can switch back and forth. If I switch to this one, you're not going to see the apps because that's a different environment. But now what I want to do is just go back and open Staff Picks, and it will get me back into the app so I can start formatting it. So let's do some formatting now of this app. And first of all, I'm going to open up the tree view because this shows me exactly what I'm clicked on, and sometimes it works a little easier to navigate. Now we have our app and our main screen. So this is our main screen that we have over here. You can add more screens. We're just working with the one screen in this Power Apps tutorial, but you can add more. I could put a button that goes to another screen. If I drop this, you can see all the different components that make up this main screen. So if I select this right here, this screen container, notice that it went around the whole thing here, and I have some options for properties on the other side. So I can expand the properties pane over here, and this is where I can make some changes here to my screen, my container. So example, if I go ahead and select the color change here, and I'll just pick, let's say, a green, you can see how it quickly changed the background here as well. Or if I wanted it to be transparent, if I had a picture in the background. I'll show you how you can add a picture in a moment. Now, I can select other objects in here, and you'll notice that it changes what's selected. So this right here is the sidebar container. And as I move through, here's the search selected, or I could click in here. So if I go and click once and move down here, this is selected. These four things are under the email data card. So if I click error message, you can see how it's changing within that area here. Now, if I was just clicking once on it, this gets selected, but I can double click to get to what I want, and it shows what is selected. So I want to make sure you have the correct thing selected before you make any changes. So notice at this point, if I go up to the search here, I'm going to click on the search, and you can see I have this search input selected. When I have this search input selected, I have options up here to change color. So I could quickly, this is the font, this first one, this is the border, the background. You'll see if I change this to orange, it makes that quick change. I can undo or use Control Z to go back a step. Now, if I have a container, so if I click body container, notice that those options aren't there. But if I have that body container selected, I do have the options for the properties here where I can make some changes. So just to show you what I'm changing, if I turn this to blue, you can see how that body container one changes. So I'm just going to go undo that step. Now, if I wanted to, let's say, change the background image, that's going to be under the main screen here. And notice I have a background image or image position. I can go and add an image, so I could upload, let's say, this movie night one and hit open. And I'm going to just replace because I already uploaded it once. And how do I want it to fit the background? So I could have it go fit or stretch. So depending on the proportions of the picture, you can play around with different ones. But now you see I can see a little bit of the popcorn and everything. I put an image to the background. So I could go through, do I want things like this to be transparent? Do I want to change the font size? So notice as I change the font size, this becomes larger. So really it's about selecting what you want to change and then looking, if it's not a container, you're going to see the options up here, but you always have the properties over here to make all these different changes to it. So you can go through and change the app how you would like. Notice that I have things without spaces. So like employee name, show title, streaming service. When I uploaded it, those were the column names. And I should have actually put spaces in it, but I want to show you how you can go back and make these changes. So I'm going to go to the data here. And when I do that, this is going to be my staff picks. I'm just going to click on the ellipsis here and edit the data. Now, at this point, I can go to these different column rows. I'm going to edit the column and I'm going to go ahead and just put spaces on each of these here. So on the ones that I need, I'm going to go through and adjust them. So now I've made all those changes to the columns that I have here. And if I wanted to delete any of these, I can go and just pick the records that I want gone and hit delete. So those three will be out of the list that I have. I'm going to go ahead now and hit close. So notice when I come back to this now, I have less records and I've had those spaces added to the different titles. So let's say we don't want the people just typing in something like sci-fi or drama. We want to make sure that they can pick from a list. So I'm thinking a drop-down would work really well for here to force them to pick one of the options. So what we're going to do, I have this selected here. You can see if I scroll down, I have this one. I'm going to go and open up my cards here. I'm going to go to the field and select edit. When I select edit, you can see all the different fields that we have on here. And notice if you wanted to change the order, notice how email is here. If I can drag them around and put them in different places and this will change. So if I wanted genre first, now that's first. I'm going to go and just drop down on the genre and it's edit text is the control type, but I don't want that. I want to have allowed values. So I'm going to force them the values that I want. So once I've done that, I'm just going to hit the X here. So you can see there's a grayed in area. I need to make sure I have that selected, that area, because this is where I'm going to add the values to. Now go over in the properties over here to the advanced. You're going to need to make sure that it's unlocked to change the property. So I'm going to click unlock there. Once it's unlocked, you can just move down to where it says items. And we're going to just go ahead, we can delete this. We're going to start with the square bracket, and then we're going to use our quotation marks. So the first thing I want them to be able to pick from is drama, and then you end your quotation marks, hit comma, and then what's the next thing that I want? Well, let's do comedy. And you can change the list depending on how you want, and make sure you put your quotation marks after every one. And let's add just a couple more. I'm going to go and add sci-fi here. I'll do a hyphen here and we'll just do one more. And we can adjust this, come back, and you can adjust this if you want at a later point. So I'll just call this one thriller. And you got to make sure you end your square bracket just like this. Notice that I can see sci-fi over here. Let's see how it works right now. I'm going to go up to the preview here. And when I go and hit new, notice I have a drop down. And I have the 4 different ones that I've added. So if I was creating a new one, a new entry, I could create drama. So I force them into this, and I can do this with other items too as well. Here's something else I want to change. Notice how they put email and then the genre and then a telephone number. I don't really want that information there. So I'm just going to click on this and open up actually the tree. And I want the records gallery here. I'm going to go over and open up the properties for that. And right here with the fields, you can see what they have selected, the phone number, the genre, and the email. Now, if I drop down, I could pick something else. I could pick employee name. And I'll just close this back up and you'll see now that it's just the employee name. So I can make all those changes depending on which ones I want there. Now I can also change the layout of this. So if you look over here for the records gallery, there's a layout. If I drop down, I have some different options. I could even do image and title if I have an image there. So if I went just title and changed it like that, you can see now there's just the email coming up. And then I could go and do the selection and change it to just the employee name. So now if I was running it, when I click and see different ones here, I would be able to just see their names here and then see the more information on this side. So notice when I made the changes to the names here, I have my search down here, but my new records isn't showing up. But if I look over in my tree menu over here, I have new records here. So I'm looking for the container, this one right here. So you can see it's kind of highlighted. What I want to do is actually move this up to the top. I'm just going to right click on this and notice that there's different options that we can do. I'm going to move this to the top. Now we have the new record right at the top. With the search, so if I went to the search container now, and let's say I'm going to change the order on this one, and I'm going to move this to the top. So now I have my new record and my search right there. So if I go and play this again, now I have the option to search, and I can create my new record in here. So I can go ahead and add new things right here to fill up the different records if I just go ahead and try running it and then hitting the check mark. Let's talk about how we can share this app. Now, before we go ahead and hit share here, you got to make sure this is saved up. And I want to point out this right here. This is publish. Now, if whoever I share this with who has edit access, when I hit save, they're automatically going to see the updates. But if I come back here and make some more changes, I'm going to have to make sure I republish this again for everybody else that just kind of has shared access, but not edit access. So I just want to make sure if you make the changes, make sure you go ahead to publish it for those people that don't have edit access. But I'm going to go right here and hit share. And I'm going to leave this. And you're going to see some options that come up on how we can share this. There's just a few steps to do. We could put individual people in here, right here. So if I go and start typing somebody in my organization, that information is going to come up here. Now, if you didn't want to type it name by name and it's for everyone, you can see just type the word everyone. And at that point, everyone in the organization would have access. You can send a message with this. You can even include an image. I'm just going to uncheck everyone here. And notice now I have some options. I'm going to make Ashton a co-owner so he can edit and share this app, but not delete or change owner on this one. And the other thing is I'm going to assign a security role to the database, because if you are using these databases, you need to make sure that you share them. I'm going to just say as a basic user on this and hit share. So if you're using a Microsoft Excel file through OneDrive, that would have to be shared with the correct permission so that people could make changes to the database. So here's the email of the person I just shared it with, and they got the message that this was shared with them. They can go on and click the app and run the app from right here. But remember, we are in the developer environment, so it's not a fully functional app. It's only for test purposes of building it and then testing it from over there. If you want to use it on your phone, just download the app, and when you open it up and connect to the same account, you're going to see that you have your recent apps right there, and you can go ahead and open it up. So notice that a new version of my app is available. Tap to update now. And remember, again, any changes that you make inside of your app to make sure that you republish it so everybody has access to the newest one. Now I'm just back on the apps page at the Power Apps page here, and you can see here is the staff top picks that we've created here. I can edit like I showed you before. I can hit play from here to run the app. Again, remember, this is for development purpose test only. But the other thing I wanted to show you, you can quickly add this to Microsoft Teams. So if I just click the ellipsis here, I want to point out share. So if I go share, I can go add to Teams. Then we're going to have some options here to go through and add. So you can see the advanced settings and different ones. I'm just going to go ahead and hit add to Teams. I have the option of downloading, and Teams would let you upload too. I'm going to just click add to Teams here. I'm going to just stay with Teams Online. I'm going to hit open. Now this is the staff top picks. If I drop down, you notice I can add to a team or to a chat here. I'll just click add. And you can see on the side, we have our app right here, staff top picks. If I right click on this, we can open in a new window, we can pin it or uninstall it from this point too. Now that you know how to customize your app from scratch when we started with data, do take a look at these two options here. So you can start with the page design, and it gives you an idea of the page designs, how they're set up, or you could start with a template. and take a look at some of the templates that you could start with that can save you a lot of time. And now that you know how to customize these, you can go ahead and select a template and still make the changes you want to color or different changes that I showed you when we went through the tutorial here today. So I hope you like this how to use Microsoft Power Apps beginners tutorial. Again, we were using the developer playground here in order to practice, but not to put things into production use. Thanks for watching this time on Teachers Tech. I'll see you next time with more tech tips and tutorials.